Hi, I'm Eric from Homeport Models, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build a Perry-class frigate structure. Now, from what we're using here at Homeport, we use gator board, which is a hard material made of wool pulp and plastic with a foam tucked into the middle. You can see, once we create it, we have it lasered, and you can see the laser cut right here of what you get with Homeport Models. Once you get that, you can start cutting out the pieces, and basically what I'm going to show you today is how to build the main part of the structure itself. It's basically the walls that wrap around the top of the Perry. Now this is what a Perry is going to look like when it's done. You can see it's about a little over 4 feet long, 4 and a few inches, but you can see it with all the details and everything. What I'm going to show you here is just the main structure without the fittings and stuff on it yet, but you can see what it looks like when it's complete. Okay, so I've started off by taking some of the parts off, as you can see from the board. These are just cut out. Each one has a little bridge which connects each section up within the laser cut. So you basically cut the bridge on both sides, pop the pieces out. When you pop the pieces out, you want to paint them, add details to them, and prep them for building, and you can see what a piece would look like like that. So this one has a door on it, one of the vents which I've created myself, and a few of the down spouts. Each one, and you can see like this is a back. So what you can see with this is the white lines which are in here, those are the gator board. So what I do is I mask out these lines first, then paint the board, mask them out with tape, then paint the board, and then peel off the lines, and you have great white lines. So you don't have to worry about getting the pure white and mixing paints together and getting like a grayish color. Adds great detail to it. Now with the deck itself, this is all painted as well, and with some decals which I had made. You can see the red lines on it, but this is the main upper deck section to the Perry class. So you can see it's just a thin little piece. Now what I did to prep this is on the inside sections where each angle appears, as you can see, there are lines, there are parts cut. It's kind of tough to show in the video, but there are lines cut into here, just not all the way through the board, but just cut. And the reason is there's a rake that goes with the Perry. It tilts up like this. This needs to bend upwards, just slightly, to go with each section. So there needs to be a little bit of a give in there so that the rake can appear. Alright, so let's get started. Oh, let me tell you a few other things. This is light sea gray, Model Masters. This is what I use for my paint. You can use haze gray by Tamaya. You can use pretty much any kind of navy gray you want. I use light sea gray. I think it's the closest, at least here in New England, it's the closest to the navy colors that I can find. I'm using green Zap-A-Gap glue to glue this together. I'm going to use paint, tape to tape together some of the seams. Always keep an extra set of hobby knives and keep my knife with me as well, because I don't like it when the points break off at the top. I also, on the boards, I'll show you, but there'll be little spacers to help you get the correct angles on every piece. Okay, now we're going to start building the Perry. I'm going to start putting the walls on. The place I always like to start is the very back, so I'm going to work from the helicopter hangar bay doors backwards. Now the way the doors were made as well, let me show you this. This is one piece of gator board that wraps around the outside of it, and then there's two more for the inset of the doors itself. You can see they're like sandwiched into itself. So you can see the different levels on the back as opposed to the front, so it gives that depth to it. Now another thing that I'm going to point out as well, with all of the pieces, you know you're on the front when they have the half etched going through it. So you can see the door, for instance, the doors and everything, the lines on this. Now on the back of every piece, I mark a little line or something on the back so I know it's the back versus the front. Again, some of the pieces don't have half etch on them, and it's important you get the right side of it. So we're going to start with this. Now when I'm going to put this onto the back of this piece, now I could just glue it on here and away we go, but the problem is, what's straight? Is this straight? Is this straight? Is this straight? I could do it by eye, but why do it by eye? Included with all of Homeport Models kits are these. These are little squares. And what these are just right angles. So they're a hard right angle. So when you're putting a piece down and gluing it in, you can get an exact right angle. So it's exactly straight, and you know it's straight then. That's kind of my little trick that I've included with all these kits, kind of to help everybody out. I hope it helps everybody out. Alright, so we're going to glue this down. So I'm going to put glue down onto the board itself. I overshot a little bit. It's okay. Just as a little sticking glue. And then I'm going to line it up to the roof part of the deck. Then I'm going to dump a little bit of glue on the board itself, and the bottom, and then take my spacer, shimmy it a little bit so it gets glue on both sides of it. Just hold it there for a minute, and should glue right up. And there you go, there's my first piece. Now with this zap glue, it should glue in about, they say, what is it? They say 20 seconds, I think, to it, but you know, it usually takes a little bit more than that because you can still see it's a little loose. So I can still make adjustments and get it all into the right spot. So now this wall here, which, is this wall. Okay? I know it's this wall because of the vents. Vents are on the top, so the roof's up here. So my roof's down, it goes on upside down. It fits in there. Now the way that I made these, the standard square piece, I have to half cut a section off of the back here so it fits into the corner. And I'm going to have to do that with a few different pieces on here. So again, I line it up just to make sure it lines up. It looks like it's hitting all in the right spot. Looks good. So I'm going to put the glue down on the board. There we go. And I'm going to glue this right in. Lining it up with the back of the helicopter deck and the front of the corner here. And again, I'm going to take a spacer. I know you really can't see from this angle. I'm going to take a spacer, dump some glue in the corner, so the corner's done, but I'm going to put some glue in for the spacer again, add the spacer to it so I know it's an exact right angle. There's nothing worse than seeing a ship that doesn't have exact right angles, and you can kind of look at it and know after a while. I don't have the steadiest hand enough to make the right angles work, so that's basically how you do the corner section. So look, it's already started to look like the back of a Perry. You can see it from the top. There you go. So you can see, and here I'll come around. But you can see the inside now has the two spacers in it, and the sections there. Alright, I'm going to work this way so you can see. But now I'm going to start into the other sections here. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. You can see from this corner I glued this corner down. So this corner is now a hard angle together. And I can put a spacer in if I want, if I'm worried about it. I can put a spacer in there and make this really, really stiff. It's kind of nice to do. I won't worry about that right now though. But what I'm worried about are these next pieces. Okay, now again, the rake curves upward. So the trick to these pieces are, again, this needs to go down. This is going to fit right into here. But I'm not going to glue these two sections together. And the reason is, I need to put it down on the deck. And the deck should be laid down on the ship already. I put it down on the deck and then settle it in. So the deck line, which is where the deck and the wall meet, are as flush as possible. Then I tape them up and glue each piece and add a little bit of filler if needed. Now when I'm putting these two together, there's a gap of about that much in them. And this is what I was saying about the spacing. I need to get rid of this little section right here, so I'll do that now. Again, a sharp knife is always important. Don't be afraid to use it. So I cut through a couple times onto the board here, and then cut the bottom section away on the bottom here, so it gets rid of the foam. But this wall is still completely fine and untouched. It's just a trick of, once you start playing with this, you'll understand how to use it better and how to get through it, but it's just a matter of getting the pieces cut in the right way. And I'll line them up again, and it looks perfect. Okay. That looks like it's going to fit perfect. Okay, now, next question is this angle. Geez, how am I going to do that angle exactly? I also include in this kit a whole bunch of angle pieces, like this. This here, and it's not this side of it, it's this side. That gives you the exact angle that you need. So for this piece, it's this angle. And I test it out to make sure it fits, and it does. It fits great. So I can line this up exactly with that angle to get that section, and it stiffens up the inside of the parts as well. So again, it looks like it's going to fit well. I'm not going to glue that in yet. I'm going to glue it in afterwards, but I'm going to glue this piece down to the deck itself. You got to be careful to line it up to the roof, not to overshoot it. Alright, that's glued down. Now I'm going to take one of the 90-degree angle pieces, put a little glue on the inside, shimmy it around a little so the glue gets all over it, press it into place. We have a right angle built within here. Now you can adjust this if need be, but again, the spacers are really going to come into key. And I'm just going to keep moving through this now and do this piece. Now this piece is the middle section here. There's a lot of up pipes on there, as you can see. Now with these up pipes, these are 32nd inch brass, okay, with these little holders. I can show you what one of those look like as well as some parts that you can get from scale shipyards or PS ships, wherever you feel comfortable getting parts from. And you can find the links to the parts places to get fittings, things like that, from my website, from homeportmodels.com. But we're going to put this piece into place. Fits nice and perfect. I reach over and get my 90-degree angle. Put some glue on it. And I'm not really worried about spilling glue on this side of it because it's the inside of the ship. I mean, really, who looks at the inside of the ship, right? There you go. Oops. There you go. It's nice and in place. And again, I'm not gluing these points because they're going to bend. They're going to bend upward. And if I glued them right now, and this is the big thing that a lot of people have had trouble with, if I glued them in right now and put this thing on the ship, there'd be a gap, especially under this section. The curve is there, but this main deck needs to flex. It flexes up and then flattens out when it hits the bridge. So now I'm up to this piece right here. Gluing that into place. Again, 90-degree angle piece. And it's funny, you can see the gaps between them. And you can see these pieces are going to fit perfectly right in there. Yeah, that'll be nice and great, actually. I think it's this one. Yeah, oh yeah, that's going to be great, that nice angle piece. It's going to fit nicely. And then the last piece for this section is where it connects up to the bridge. Now within this section here, let me show you this. It's angling up here, and it's angling flat here, but you can see it flatten out right in here. There's a little bit of a change in the angle. This is where the bridge is going to be. The bridge is a flat area, while the rest of the ship kind of rakes down. So within the bridge, I mean, who wants to lean around on the bridge? They want a nice flat surface up there because that's where they're commanding the ship. So while that's flat, the deck below it curves upward. So we'll drop that piece into place. Now this one's a little tricky because you only can glue a certain point of it, because the deck is at a severe angle. So it needs to be kind of prepped up a little bit. Again, I need to cut the corner of this because the corners are hitting each other. Another way you can do it is cut in at an angle while the deck's facing up, so it's facing up the painted side, and you cut in at an angle and then just pop the piece out. And that gives you kind of a, as you can see there, like a right angle with it. It's one of my little tricks with it. Now as I'm doing this and getting close to it, I can see that there's going to be a problem. There's about 1/4 of an inch space there, and I can't get this corner into this corner because of that. So really what I need to do is prop this up just a little bit, and then I can see how that's going to line right up and give me that angle I need. Yeah, it's going to be really good. So I'll use my tape roll that I have here, just a standard tape roll, just to put underneath it, just to give it a little bit. Now, you got to be careful with this because you can easily break it, but it's pretty flexible if you've done it in the right way. Well, also within this, there's the wings here that pop out. This is a Perry Long. I'm actually building the USS DeWitt for a good friend of mine, and I'm adding the glue. Now, with me adding the glue, I'm only adding it to a certain point. Actually, no, I'll go all the way with this one because I've got it propped up. So this should flex right to the bridge section as well as the main deck itself. Yeah, see, that works perfect. So as you can see, it flexing down. I don't know if you can see it that well, but yeah, you can. It flexes down on that side there. So this is lining up perfectly. I'll hold it for a moment. Grab one of my spacers. I keep calling them spacers. They're really not. They're like 90-degree angles. I call them spacers for some odd reason. Maybe because they create a angled space. Pop that right into place. And there you have it. That's the bridge. At least one wall for it. Done. Now I'll do the other side of the wall, and we'll mount it to the deck, and I'll show you how to tape it up, and then glue in the other pieces so it fits perfectly onto the hull itself. Okay, so we have glued together. Now I have the deck right here for the Perry. The deck is not on right now. It's just placed just temporarily, but definitely inset into it. And we have the structure now with all the sides put onto it. So there's some lines on the deck. Let me show you this. You can see there's markings on the deck, and I mean the danger circles, but right in here, see these lines and stuff. This is where the structure is going to go. So we'll inset this back into the deck. We'll take our structure and line it up right onto those lines. Or it should come close. It shouldn't be exact, but we're in real good shape. Now there's a little bit of a gap down here that it should be just brought down just a little bit. Other than that, it looks dead on. So we're in real good shape. So what I'm going to do now is take some tape and just tape up the edges. Just so they're there. And then, but most of them don't even need it. So what I'm going to do is grab my glue and just touch a little bit of glue on the top in the corner. And this will just hold the walls together and not create a big glue gap or anything. I'll do that in the corners on all the sides here. And this will hold them together, and there we go. This will hold them together, after a few moments, and we should be all set with this. Once you have this done and all glued together, then you do the spacers in the inside just to give it a little bit more rigidity. Okay, once you get everything down, you can put it on the deck and really see what it looks like, and it's fun. This actually was one of the first lasers that I ever made. And after a short time of building it, even to get to this point, you really can see how it's taking shape and looking like a Perry. I mean, it has the overall characteristics with the angles and the perfectness of it, even with the details on the side. And you really can start to see how it's going to shape up to look like a Perry. And then after this, you can start, if you really want to, start putting your fittings on. This is a C-Wist without the radar on the top, which can fit right on the back, like that. And you can start to really see how this is going to start to take shape and be a full-on Perry. So I'm Eric Bertelson. I'm from Homeport Models. This is the Perry build. Any questions, please ask us. We're online at www.homeportmodels.com. And we'll see you on the pond.